Hi, this is Sharon Vornholt with the Louisville Gals Real Estate Blog, and my reader question for today comes from someone that wants to talk about making offers. And the question was, I understand the 70% rule when you make offers, but does it always have to be 70%? Can that number ever change? Well, the answer is yes. Now, here are a couple of possible scenarios. In general, I want to say that you're going to use the formula, 70% of the ARV minus repairs, minus your fee if you are a wholesaler. So if you're talking about a house that's $100,000, 70% of $100,000 is $70,000, less repairs, which we will say are $20,000. That brings the number down to $50,000, less your fee if you're a wholesaler, and we'll say you want to make $10,000. So right there, your MAO, your maximum allowable offer is 70 minus 20, which is 50, minus 10, which is 40. So your MAO, or your maximum allowable offer, is $40,000 in that scenario. Now, sometimes if the house is in an area that is a less desirable area, or I know it's going to be harder to sell, my buyer pool is not going to be quite as big, I might actually offer less, particularly if it's a neighborhood that's, a little bit less than stellar, we'll say that. If it's not, if it's a lower level neighborhood, I might offer 50 or 60%. Sometimes I've been in a situation where I really didn't care if I got the house, and I would just go flat out and offer 40 or 50%. Whatever the offer came out to be, I would just lower it, because it was going to have to be worth somebody's while. They were going to have to be able to make more money than normal on this particular house. So that's kind of a scenario where you might offer less. On bigger rehabs, you're generally going to need to leave more money as a profit for your end buyer. Now, can you ever offer more? Well, yes, you can. And here is a scenario when you can offer more. In my area, if you're up around $250,000, $300,000, I know what the rehabbers want to walk away with. What their bottom number is, and what their holding cost and their cost of their money and that sort of thing. I know what those numbers are. So on some houses in my area, when they're more in that $250,000 to $300,000 range, I will start looking at the numbers more from 80%. Now, if you have a $200,000 house and you're doing 80%, that's leaving 40% on the top for that person. 40%, $40,000. It's leaving 20%, which is $40,000. Now, you're also, remember, so if you're doing 80% of $200,000, that's $160,000 is your starting point to figure out your offer. Now, let's say that the repairs, so that's $160,000. Let's say that the repairs are big on this house. They're $40,000. So we will subtract $40,000 from the $160,000. That leaves you with $120,000. And then take your fee, depending on how much trouble you've had, $10,000, $15,000. Well, then subtract that. That's your MAO. You see, you've still left a big chunk of money on the top, and remember that money on the top, that 20% or that 30%, is not all profit for the rehabber. There are other things that come into play there. One is the cost of the money, the cost of getting the money, which is closing cost and points and all of those sorts of things that they pay their lender, which is always going to be an investor-friendly bank if they're going to a bank. It's not going to be Wells Fargo or one of those big mortgage companies. It's going to be an investor-friendly bank. So there are costs to getting money, even if you get private money. There are costs to doing that. There's interest that they're going to have to pay, even if they pay it at the end of when they sell the house. They also have holding costs. If they sell the house with a realtor, they're going to have a commission. So while you, on the surface, you look at the numbers I was just talking about, $40,000 up there, they're going to have a big chunk of that that's going to be holding costs and cost of money. So it's not all profit. And once again, if it's a big rehab job, you're going to need to make the numbers a little bit better for that rehabber. They're going to want to make more money. Now, if it's a simple job like a house I just looked at, it's basically paint and carpet and cosmetics. They can get out with less repairs, less trouble, less time, which is time is money. So that's generally how you can offer a different percentage and the circumstances under which you might offer a different percentage when you're figuring your numbers to buy a house. So I hope that helps. If you have another question, just send them to me. I'm going to be doing these about once a week. This is Sharon Bornholt with the Louisville Gals Real Estate Blog, and I will be back soon with another reader question. Keep them coming.